Hello everyone. So in today's video, I kind of wanted to touch on an artist called Sweely. So I've basically been listening to his music a lot recently, and something that kind of stands out to me is like the kind of abstract elements in his music. And like those glitchy textures and stuff. And I have a few theories as to like how he might achieve such an effect, but one example which I'm going to show is to do with using bass lines and basically adding kind of textures to the bassline sound. Because I have a feeling his approach could be one of having a nice bass sound and layering it with like glitchy effect, or the approach I'm going to show where he essentially takes the kind of texture from a nice bass sound and applies it to the rhythm of like a drums. So I feel like there's multiple ways you can go with this, but I'm going to show one particular way anyway. So just to kind of give an example of these textures I'm talking about, I've got two references. I'm just going to play a short preview of them so I don't get flagged.
Good evening.
So you've got that, and you've got this one. So you can kind of hear in these two examples, you can kind of hear this kind of glitchy texture line which works with the bass line. And like I was saying, it could be the same sound, or it could be the bass line influencing something else, which is what I'm going to show, or it could be like a drum sample with various effects and stuff. It could be like literally anything. But kind of point in this is that the texture and the bass line fit really well together, and I'm going to work off the assumption that some of these sounds were influenced by a bass. So if I just kind of show my examples, basically how you set it up. I've done another vocoder related video, so be sure to check that out. That kind of looks at chords and stuff. But basically what you want, I've got two of these. These are like basically split into the source. So if I just play, so already from the beginning you've got this nice kind of texture sound. It's not like a plain bass, so it doesn't really kind of work with that. So you've basically got these nice sounds which I've basically stretched and filled out to the full bar or 2 bars. I'm basically looking for these nice bass sounds that have that kind of texture. And if I just show where I found them, there's like these 90s sample libraries called 0G data files, and I got most of these in here. You can kind of hear the difference. There's some that kind of don't really have that top end we're looking for, so I've picked a few. That basically, as you can see, the samples don't reach the full bar, and because I'm looping them, what I've basically done is stretch them the full width of the bar, so I can do this. And then the magic comes with using, you're basically using a drum loop as the rhythm, and you're using your bass source as the kind of texture. So if I play this now, because I normally, what I do is I pick the sound and then I just mute it, and I wouldn't touch that channel again, and then I'd go to, I basically add a loop. And I've added 4 different examples, and you can get pretty creative. There's not really any like set restrictions. So if I just use the first source and play the first loop, this is a more stripped loop, so you can hear it's not as busy, the loop. And then this one, so it basically goes off the transients when you pick it. And what I've not explained is this is basically what's doing the effect. So you basically have a vocoder, you're picking external, and then what you're doing is you're picking the musical element, and it's basically taking that. So I'll go to one of these loops. And you'll basically hear the effect the vocoder's having and the effect that the dry signal's having. And you can layer them up if you want. But, and then you'll hear you'll hear like the textures coming through, depending on which one I choose. And you obviously have options to like change it up, like transpose it. You can already hear like the potential with this kind of thing. And on the subject of drum loops, because I kind of abandoned that idea, you can basically, you've got like freedom with like what you choose. You can hear that's a lot busier. That's quite a nice stripped. This one is about the same as the first one, and this one you can hear it's pretty much only reacting to these louder transients, which is interesting. Basically got using these as like ghost notes. And so like you could in theory use this as its own bass. It's kind of got that kind of sound that we're looking for. Or you could, you have to be careful here, but you could almost mix it with another bass, like a lower sub, which is what I've used. So yeah, that's essentially the technique in a nutshell. You basically find a nice textured layer of a bass, set the vocoder, and set the bass sound you found as the source, and then have like that channel as like a rhythmic loop and get creative with them. Um, so kind of like one final point I'd maybe add, because obviously there's loads of like creative potential this. If we want similar to those kind of sounds and maybe want to go further, because the basic of the idea is like I just said, like setting up a vocoder, but there's some things that can be used for further tweaking that can potentially make that sound more accurate. So format being one. You can kind of hear like as it goes up, it's like kind of higher pitch and robotic, and this is like lower. Which is just a game changer in itself. That parameter. That's kind of like I kind of think of it as like a minimal switch, like as it's higher up. And like as it's lower, it's almost like the release, which we can move on to. Basically, how long the note is. So those are like the three I'd recommend trying out. Then obviously with effects you can go in any direction, but frequency shift is one I find be quite a good one. You can either go 100%, and if you like duplicate the channel, you could go 100% and kind of blend it, or you can just I just kind of put it with a burp. You can already kind of see like the wacky kind of ideas you can get, like just from a brief like 2-minute jam, which I had to stop before I get carried away. Like if you listen to kind of like the sounds in Sweely's music, there are some within there that sound vaguely similar to kind of like what this is basically. So yeah, I think I'll leave that there. That's essentially how to create, or at least how I believe he might create his extra sounds. Like I said, there's potentially loads of different ways you can do it, but that's just one such approach. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that one there. If you found it useful, be sure to like, comment, any feedback or any future videos you want, and be sure to subscribe for more. And I'll see you in the next one.
This is not a